The Merciless Fusion Rifle got a really nice rework in Season of the Seraph, and courtesy of the king himself, Astacross, we can now see that it is coming out on top of just about every other DPS option in the game right now. This is actually insane considering it's just a special weapon and it's able to do that much damage. Now we already knew it was strong, but I wanted to put together a build that helps you get the absolute most out of it and creates a really fun gameplay loop at the same time. This build's going to be for all my Solar Titans out there, so if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, leave a like down below and smash that subscribe button. But let's dive right into it and take a look at the build. Now starting off the build, we're going to be taking the Path of Burning Steps exotic legs for Titans. This makes it so our solar final blows, whether weapon or ability, periodically grant you an escalating bonus to weapon damage. So whether you're using your throwing hammer or just getting final blows with any solar weapon, we will be getting a stacking bonus called Firewalker. This stacks up to 4 times and will grant us a 40% damage increase to all of our solar weapon damage. This will happen extremely passively just from using our throwing hammer and our weapons, and it's going to allow Merciless to do even more damage than it already is. Now speaking of Merciless, let's take a look at this weapon now because it has been changed. This has the perk Conserve Momentum. Non-lethal hits with projectiles make this weapon charge faster until its wielder gets a kill. Now this isn't exactly accurate now. The way they've changed it is that every single bolt is going to give you a stack of Conserve Momentum. So after the first 2 or 3 bursts, this thing is basically instantaneous. It has a 0.2 second charge time, so you're able to empty the mag into an enemy incredibly quick. That alone is incredibly powerful, but then we can also stack it with the intrinsic perk Impetus, which is basically like kill clip. If we get a kill with this weapon and then reload, we will be doing at least 50% increased damage. It might be 65%. This perk is like the OG kill clip, so I'm not positive on the numbers, but it's a lot. Now taking a look at the subclass, we are going to take Hammer of Soul. If you want to use the other one, you absolutely can. I am using Rally Barricade. It's really great for PvE since it does give us all the benefits to our weapons. We will take the throwing hammer. After hitting a target and picking the hammer back up, it does grant us Cure, so it gives us a nice form of health regeneration. And doubling down on that, we will also take the healing grenade. These two things combined will give us a lot of survivability and help prevent us from dying when we're up close to those enemies with Merciless. For our aspects, we are taking Soul Invictus. This creates sunspots on any solar ability final blow. The sunspots do apply Scorch to enemies that are inside and help us regenerate our abilities quicker. We will then take Roaring Flames. This makes it so any final blow with our solar abilities or ignitions increases the damage of our solar abilities up to 3 times. It's very easy to have this going at 3 stacks all the time when we're constantly using our throwing hammer. Looking at our fragments, we will take Ember of Torches. This makes it so powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant. One thing I want to point out is that the Radiant buff and the Path of Burning Steps don't actually stack, but the Radiant buff is always there to give us a 20% increase to our weapon damage, and if we have multiple stacks of Path of Burning Steps that goes higher than 20%, that will take over. So we basically have 2 ways of buffing our damage pretty easily. Next, we will take Ember of Solace. This makes it so Radiant and Restoration effects applied to us have increased duration. Third, we'll take Ember of Empyrean. This makes it so solar weapon or ability final blows extend the duration of Restoration and Radiant. We're going to be constantly getting solar weapon final blows or using our throwing hammer so we can have a lot of uptime on those Restoration and Radiant buffs. And finally, I am taking Ember of Singeing. This makes it so our class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets. This slot is pretty free. You could swap this out for a different fragment. It's just what I chose to run here. Now moving on to our mods, the first mod we want to take is Melee Wellmaker. Pretty self-explanatory. Every time we use our throwing hammer and defeat an enemy, we will create a solar elemental well. Next, we will take Bountiful Wells. This makes it so we'll generate 2 solar elemental wells when we use our hammer. This isn't necessary for the build, so if you don't have this mod, don't sweat it, but it is a nice benefit to have for some additional ability regeneration. Third, we will take Font of Might. This is a staple mod, I'm sure as you guys are used to with all of these builds. This makes it so when we pick up that solar elemental well, we will get a 25% increase to our solar weapon damage. Now again, I do want to point out that Font of Might does stack with Radiant or Path of Burning Steps, so this one will be an additional buff on top of everything else we have going. For our next mod, we will take Well of Life. This makes it so anytime we pick up a solar well, it's going to give us health regeneration for a short period of time. This adds even more survivability to the build. We're constantly generating wells, and between our healing grenade, our throwing hammer, and Well of Life, we have a ton of different ways of regenerating health. And finally, on our class item, I am taking Seeking Wells. This just makes it so all of those wells automatically track towards us. You don't even have to think about picking them up. They'll just track towards you, so you always have all of those benefits going. From our seasonal artifact, I am taking Monochromatic Maestro. This makes it so dealing damage with elemental abilities increases our weapon damage of the same element for a short duration, and vice versa. So dealing damage with weapons will also increase the damage of our abilities. The key word to keep in mind here is that it's just dealing damage. You don't have to get a final blow to get the benefits of this mod. So if you're running up on a big tanky enemy, toss your hammer at it, you can activate this mod and then finish it off with Merciless. You can easily swap this mod out for something else. If you're running by yourself, you can take Solo Operative. This will give you a nice flat 15% increase to all of your damage. I am also taking Advanced Scout. This makes it so champions that we stun will take additional damage from our teammates. This makes it really easy for your team to take down those champions. Now you want to make sure that you are using Fusion Rifle Ammo Finder and Fusion Rifle Scavenger because Merciless does chew through ammo extremely quickly. So we want to make sure we have these mods going so that we can try to have as much ammo economy as possible at all times. Looking at our stats, the most important stat is going to be Resilience as always. 100 Resilience is going to give us 40% damage reduction and increase our survivability greatly. The next stat I would focus on would be Discipline. Since we are using that healing grenade, we want to have that up as much as possible. Even if you can't get 100 here, that's okay. All of our mods, aspects, and fragments will help us get our grenade back quickly as well. Moving on to our weapons, we are of course using Merciless here. So for our primary weapon, you can really use whatever you need, especially if you're dealing with champions. Feel free to use any weapon here for whatever champions you need to deal with. For your heavy weapon, I do recommend also running any solar heavy weapon. The Cataclysmic Linear Fusion is incredible. This helps you take down enemies that are really far away if you can't get in range to hit them with Merciless. You could use a rocket launcher or a machine gun here, whatever you prefer, that's totally up to you. This build allows you to get the most out of the Merciless Fusion Rifle and the buff that it just got, and it's a very easy build to use. Just by playing Solar Titan like you normally do, constantly using your throwing hammer is going to buff us, allows us to get those stacks of Path of Burning Steps and Font of Might going, so that we can absolutely delete enemies when we're using Merciless. It's a very fun way to take advantage of those new buffs. There's a lot of different builds you can do with this Fusion Rifle, but I wanted to mix it up and put a Titan build out there for all my Titan users. If you guys enjoyed the video, do me a favor, leave a like down below, smash that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one.